Welcome to Three and Out with Jason and Kevin. I'm Jason. That's Kevin. He's back from vacation. He's gotten in his you can call it a phone booth, his DeLorean, wherever he went to go back in time to find the old-fashioned plague doctor to cure him from his ailments. Kevin's back. Kevin, how you doing?
Doing all right. And Jason he's been alluding to it. He's not joking. Yeah. I caught scarlet fever. There's about 100 adult cases a year. Even it is absolutely a disease of young Victorian children. Somehow I caught it.
Yeah.
So I'm on the way up. I don't feel great, but I'm feeling much better. But scarlet fever. Yep.
I'm assuming that
I had the worst luck on vacation. I don't know if this is not common knowledge. I've lived in Ohio my whole life, and I've been in 3 hurricanes. I should never go on vacation. I should never go again.
No, I'm assuming that that the doctor who treated you had like a beak, like the black leather beak. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, whatever. The plague doctors or whatever.
Mostly leeches. Mostly leeches.
Yeah, that's how you got. They had to let your blood. They had to drain the impurity. There's probably a priest involved. I'm assuming there was a priest involved.
I did my last rites, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That's at least that's
just in case.
Yeah.
Get my soul right.
All right, we are brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation's Cincinnati Bengals site. We are on Orange and Black Insider, SB Nation's, CincyJungle.com's YouTube channel. There's not just us, there's tons of shows. There's tons of shows on there. Go subscribe, follow those shows, and then you can catch all of our past shows as well. And we are sponsored by Eastgate Smiles Dental Care. So tonight, again, we're not to training camp yet. There is no contract news. Tonight, we are going to rank the quarterbacks in the AFC. That's all we're doing because that's all really we can do.
Yeah, we really need football to come back.
Yes, we do. We talked a little bit about doing all 32 quarterbacks, but I don't want it to be too busy. The chart thing we'll use for you YouTube viewers. And it's too long of a thing. So I think next week we're going to do the NFC, but this week we're just going to do the AFC, which is obviously
don't lie to the people. We know for a fact we're going to do NFC.
Yes, we are doing NFC
because
next
we're recording it tomorrow because you're going on vacation.
Because I'm going on vacation. Hopefully I don't catch I'm trying to think a touch of the consumption while I'm on vacation. I don't want that consumption. I think is tuberculosis, right?
Sounds right.
I don't know. I didn't know scarlet fever was a thing still until you told me.
I'm not an expert on ancient diseases. I just catch them.
Yeah. There you go. All right. So we'll kind of get this thing started here. Just bear with me. Yeah. All right. So here we go. Like I said, we're just ranking the starting quarterbacks in the AFC. If you are watching the video part of this on YouTube, you'll notice that there are some guys here that you may say, hey, why is he not, like, for example, the Colts, why is he not ranking their rookie? Why is he ranking Gardner Minshew? It's because Gardner Minshew is listed as the starting quarterback on ESPN's depth chart. Now, he may not be the starting quarterback when the season starts, but right now, that's where they're listed according to ESPN, so that's what we're going to do. Also down here at the very far right, C.J. Stroud is there. He is listed on the depth chart as the starting quarterback for Houston, but we're not going to rank any rookies because there is no point. We would be putting them down below bad because there's rookies. We have no idea what they're going to do, so we're just going to leave them out. So having said that, we're going to start with Mr. Vaccinated is the same thing as inoculated or whatever, Aaron Rodgers, who had left the Green Bay Packers, and now he's a member of the New York Football Jets. Well, they don't call it that. The New York Jets. I would have said 2 or 3 years ago, Kevin, I would have said that Aaron Rodgers belongs in the elite category because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's a done deal. He's going to be. He could retire today. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame when he's eligible, but I do not think he belongs in the elite category anymore. Do you agree?
No, time's taking its toll, and that's not even a jab at him. It's just a fact.
Yeah,
age catches up with everybody eventually. He's still incredible. Still, franchise quarterback. I'm just now realizing that is a weird title because if he has a losing season, I fully expect he might retire 1 year after this, totally screwing the Jets. But directly below elite franchise quarterback. I mean, that's what he is.
Okay. All right. I do agree. I believe that's where he belongs as franchise quarterback. So Joe Burrow's second. Do you want to save Joe Burrow or do you just want to get it over with?
I mean, get it over with. People aren't going to be surprised where Joe Burrow ends up.
Yeah. Joe Burrow is one of the few elite quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
That's really all there is to say. In 2 full seasons, the only 2 full seasons of his career, he has gone to the Super Bowl and, he's gone to the AFC Championship game twice, winning one, going to the Super Bowl, in which they lost to the Rams by 3 points, and they lost to the Chiefs in the next AFC Championship game by 3 points in a last-second field goal. He
most
did
accurate
that.
Quarterback in NFL history.
There you go. There's another thing, too. The most accurate quarterback of qualified passers. I don't know what the qualification is of guys who have thrown over so many passes. He is the most accurate quarterback of qualified passers in NFL history. So, so he belongs in elite. All right.
Elite,
that brings
elite
us
to me, just to define it real quick, elite to me is truly game-changing.
Oh, yeah.
Elevates everyone around them, petrifies defenses even when the other team is up. 2 minutes on the clock, and everybody's looking at that quarterback, and they know they can do this.
Yep. Well, let me.
Burrow is one of the few who fit that bill.
Yes, and let me expand on this by looking at guys in the recent past, that I would put in the elite category with Joe Burrow. If we were, Drew Brees would be there in the height of his career. Peyton Manning would be there in the height of his career. Tom Brady would be there in the height of his career.
Yep. Aaron Rodgers, we just mentioned.
Aaron Rodgers, yep. So we're talking about putting Joe Burrow in a category with guys who are first ballot Hall of Famers. And I'm not sitting here saying, well, he's going to be a first ballot Hall. We don't know. He could say,
unless he gets injured, I'm saying it right now. He's going to be a first
okay.
Ballot Hall of
Yeah,
Famer,
right. But yeah, he is an elite quarterback, and there are only a handful. I will go see. You'll see how many are in the AFC. All right. So we kind of already went over what we already knew. And that brings us to Gardner Minshew.
Speaking of elite quarterbacks, put him up there.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't expect Gardner Minshew to be the starter the entire season. I just don't. I think that their rookie, Anthony Richardson, will take over. So I don't think that necessarily means he's bad, but I don't think he's good enough for now either. I think he's a stopgap quarterback.
He's the definition of stopgap. He is the quarterback you get when you're not totally confident what else is going on in your QB room, but you need a guy who can play at least enough to make you not lose. Right. That's Gardner Minshew. You're not happy if he's your quarterback, but he's not absolutely tanking you.
Right. No, I agree. He's not killing your team, but he's not helping. He's just there trying not to make mistakes.
Yep.
You'd agree with that? Okay.
Yes.
And that brings us to Jimmy Garoppolo, who is no longer with the 49ers. He is now with the Las Vegas Raiders, and he is, for now, the starting quarterback. I think he's better than a stopgap. I think he's better than Minshew. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I do think he's just good enough for now. He's good enough. He can win games for you. He probably won't lose many for you, but he's not going to do it by himself. You know what I mean? If the guys around him get hurt, he's up a creek. So do you agree with right here, the good enough for now tier?
I do. And just to add just a little bit into that tier, personally speaking, good enough for now tier, this tier we're talking about right here, is, from my perspective, almost the worst spot a franchise can be quarterback-wise, because they have a quarterback who's good enough to keep them from seeking out a new quarterback, but never good enough to actually get them over the hump into late season playoff success, Super Bowl success. The thing everybody's running for. As Bengals fans, we know exactly who this is. This is Andy Dalton.
And that's not a knock on Andy Dalton. Yeah,
it is not. He's good enough. He's a good enough quarterback. I've said this before, but he's good enough to keep you out of the top 10 draft picks, and not good enough to win you a Super Bowl. It's a problem sometimes. But anyways, just wanted to put out my little observation on this particular tier.
I totally agree with you. He is good enough. And just like Andy Dalton was, he's good enough to get you to the playoffs where you're going to lose in the first round. And that's it. That's as far as he's going to be able to take you. That's where Jimmy G is right now. And that brings us to the next quarterback on our list, Josh Allen from Buffalo. I think he's elite. I do.
I was going to ask you, there's been a backlash to Allen recently. I mean, you haven't talked about it, where a lot of people are blaming the lack of playoff success and everything else on him. Where's your head on it? What do you think?
So I understand that it all falls on the quarterback's shoulders. I mean, the lack of playoff success, and there's a lot of factors in a football team, in a football game of wins and when it comes to wins and losses. And while the leadership of the quarter, like the built-in leadership that the quarterback position has, kind of means that it has to fall on their shoulders. The quarterback always kind of falls on the sword. That's how that works. It's not all Josh Allen's fault. I mean, Josh Allen can do things physically that not many quarterbacks can do. I don't know who has the better arm between he and Mahomes, but Josh Allen has one of the best arms in the NFL, and he has just improved. He's just gotten better. Now, he's never played in the AFC Championship game, but I can't blame that solely on him. I do think that he is elite. I do. I think that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the best in the AFC. I think he deserves to be above Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
So what do you think? Do you agree, or do you think he should be lower than Joe Burrow?
I think we're not doing 1, 2, 3. He's lower than Joe Burrow. I mean, no.
Well, he is.
You know this. Yes. You know how this can go. It should go Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, in my opinion.
But we can't have 16 tiers. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I get you.
I do think at this point, Allen does deserve a bit more of a critical eye. I do think that maybe his gunslinger style is good for winning individual games, but might not be the exact style you want for sustained playoff success. I haven't watched enough of his film to say I 100% have that opinion, but I do think that he deserves a look. But to downgrade him as harsh as the internet has decided to downgrade him after the success he's had, I'm going to need to see this purgatory that the Bills are in, this like mid-playoff range purgatory. I'm going to see it sustained for another year or two before I start talking about downgrading Allen.
Right.
He is a freak. He has a cannon for an arm. He absolutely changes games, both with his arm and his legs. He's scary. Allen's elite.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to another kind of tricky one too. What do you think about this guy? Chargers quarterback, Justin Herbert. This is a difficult one. For me it is, because again, he has some elite traits. He has elite arm strength. He has great arm strength. I haven't watched every single game of his. And unfortunately, the game that he played against Cincinnati in 2021, I was on an airplane. I didn't get to see it. But having said that, I know he won Rookie of the Year. I don't know what would have happened had Joe Burrow not gotten hurt. Hold on a second. I'm going to actually take a look at something here. But his record is 25-24 in his career. And he is, let's see, his record in the playoffs. I don't know. I think it's 0-1, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Either way. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where to put him. He's absolutely, we can say this at least. He's a franchise quarterback for sure. He is.
Absolutely.
At a minimum. But do you think he deserves to be in the same category as Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and we all know Patrick Mahomes is going to go up there?
I do not. And here's my rationale for it.
Okay.
I've watched some Chargers games. I haven't watched a lot of Chargers games. I've watched some. Watched highlight clips. I mean, there was a while there where is it Herbert? Is it Burrow? There was that kind of rivalry that then fell to the side as Burrow ascended. And now it's Burrow versus Mahomes.
Right.
But when I watch Herbert, he is always very, very good.
Okay.
And that's it.
Right. Yeah.
He has, I have not seen what I would consider that second gear, that thing that Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, the greats of the past who we've mentioned before, that when everything's against them, they get better. The more pressure that's on them, the better and harder they play. I just don't see it. I don't see that competitiveness. I don't see that ferocity. I don't see that desperate need to win.
Yeah.
Not even that's not it. They all have a desperate need to win. The greats have a desperate need not to lose.
Okay.
And there's a difference there.
Losses there is.
Kill Mahomes and Allen and Burrow. And I just don't think that's the same thing of Herbert. I've never seen him kick it up to the second gear when it matters. He's always at its same level, a very, very, very good level.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see him rise above it.
Okay. So I agree. I do have him here at franchise quarterback. I don't think he's done enough for me to deserve to be up here in the elite tier, especially in the postseason. He is 0-1 in the playoffs. And it doesn't mean that these guys are locked here. You know, Gardner Minshew, he's locked at stopgap. That's where he is. You know what I mean?
Well, we're going to agree to disagree because I told you he should be elite. But...
Oh, well, you're right.
Look
at
the mustache, man. The mustache should put him at least good enough for now.
He does have a mustache, a glorious mustache. It is wonderful. But I could see a scenario where we do this again next offseason where Herbert is listed as elite. You know what I mean? But right now, I
don't see a where he drops.
No, I don't see where he drops.
He has too many. He's just too talented.
Right.
He just
franchise quarterback is his floor. So, and that brings us to AFC North rival and Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, who just signed a big deal. This is going to make some people they're not watching, but he doesn't belong in the league. He belongs in the same category as Justin Herbert. He's a franchise quarterback. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
His decision making is at times questionable. Questionable enough that combined with his accuracy issues here and there, he's not elite. And I don't think unlike Herbert, I actually don't think he has the capacity to get to elite. I think he is a great franchise quarterback. I think that's exactly where he sits. Depending on injuries and if his legs ever leave him, he could drop, but that's years down the line. Franchise quarterbacks where he lives and breathes.
Yep, I totally agree. He belongs here. Did he earn the money? Does he deserve the money he got? Yes, he absolutely does. He is a nightmare to game plan for. And a part of that, if everyone played like him, maybe it wouldn't be such an issue to game plan for Lamar Jackson because you're gaming plan for guys who can do that every week, but you're not. You're maybe game planning for two guys that can do that. You know, Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson. But, outside of the AFC North, you don't play guys like that very often. You know, and can you really
think Justin Fields
can run?
I guess he can. Yeah, I was just
no.
level as Lamar.
No. I'm just talking about the fact that he can run the way that he does. That's it. I'm not saying he's a franchise quarterback. I'm just saying you don't game plan for guys who can run like that because it's only 2 games a year. You know what I mean? Now it is a division game, so it is important, but he is a nightmare to deal with. And I think that puts him in the franchise quarterback tier. I do agree with you. I don't see him making the leap until he does something big in the playoffs, and he hasn't, But yeah, I think this is where he belongs, franchise quarterback. That's where he stays, and that's it. How about Mac Jones, Patriots?
I mean, exactly. He's fine. He's fine.
So I think he belongs right here. It's good enough for now.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's
fine. Your thing. He's fine.
He ain't gonna win your games. He ain't gonna lose your games. He's fine.
Yeah. He's kind of that Jimmy Garoppolo, Andy Dalton kind of tier. If he doesn't make many mistakes, he'll be fine. That's a good game for him, is not making mistakes. A good game for Joe Burrow is putting the team on his shoulders and dragging them to a win. A bad game for Joe Burrow could be, he didn't make any mistakes. You know what I mean? Really, that could be a bad game for him.
Yeah.
So, a good game for Mac Jones is he didn't throw it away. The Patriots won because he didn't kill him. So, I don't think he's a stopgap. I don't know if he'll be the starter the entire year. I don't know if he'll be the starter next year, but I think that his job is safe, at least for right now.
I do too.
I don't know if there's really any reason to talk about anything. Patrick Mahomes is elite. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, what do you got to say about Patrick Mahomes that everybody's saying constantly all day, every day on ESPN?
He might be the most physically gifted quarterback or just physically gifted passer I've ever seen or will ever see in the NFL. He can do things that defy physics and logic and time and space. And Joe Burrow and the Bengals are 3-1 against him, but still, Patrick Mahomes. Would you say I would imagine most people would agree if he retired right now, which would be insane because he's very young, that he's already built a Hall of Fame resume. I think he probably has.
He probably has, but it's borderline. Longevity just matters so much for the Hall of Fame.
It does. It does for sure.
I say even if he had a couple middling seasons after this, unlikely. But if he did, that would secure his Hall of Fame status just because they want you to play for a certain number of years, it seems like.
Right.
So, yeah, he doesn't need any additional success, but he probably needs just a couple more years under his belt.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. All right, so that brings us to another AFC North rival, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett. He's obviously not elite. He's not bad. He's not a stopgap. I think he's Dalton. I think he's good enough for now. I don't. I could see a scenario where Kenny Pickett makes the leap this year into franchise quarterback. He was really on fire the last half of last year. He played really, really well.
He played much better,
Yes. And if he keeps that up for an entire second season, I could say next year, he's a franchise quarterback. But he did it for half of a season. We don't know what's going to happen. So, sometimes quarterbacks come in with that weird, sophomore slump where they struggle a little bit. But I think this is where he belongs. Good enough for now. Right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then we get to a conundrum here. I don't know what to do with Russell Wilson. I don't know what to do because I know who Russell Wilson used to be. Russell Wilson used to be a franchise quarterback. Okay.
Yep.
And then he went to Denver and was replaced by a pod person and was awful. And it wasn't just that he was awful on the field. It just turned out that he's so weird and just like, I don't know what, just there was video of him running out of the tunnel, not practicing on the field with his teammates, but running out of the tunnel, practicing handshakes
out of the tunnel. Yeah.
Practicing high five, and then the whole what was the thing that he just constantly said? It wasn't "Let's ride."
Broncos country, let's ride.
Broncos country, let's ride. He said it he was I imagine him standing naked in front of a full body mirror in his bedroom in the dark, just going Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride, just for hours, because that's the kind of vibe he was putting out. That he's a weird dude.
I think he's a very I think that's just what it is. I think he's an incredibly awkward, incredibly weird dude. And I will pull this trigger.
Okay.
He's bad.
Oh, whoa. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was awful. And I am not one to try to predict the future. And I'm not one to say that your past success is the only thing that matters. Do I think he'll stay bad? Probably not. But last year was some of the worst quarterback play I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. It was bad.
And I'm unwilling to just pretend that is not what I watched all season from him. And I watched a lot of it because for some reason they got a lot of primetime games that I'm absolutely certain.
Well, you know why they got a lot of primetime games. They got a lot of primetime games because they signed Russell Wilson. And then he showed up and laid an egg. I don't want to say
I watched a lot of bad football. He was. I get that he might get better.
He was.
I get that he was previously was much better, but consistently all year. It wasn't just a few games. It wasn't half a season. Talking about Kenny Pickett. You were willing to put Kenny Pickett he's almost a franchise quarterback because he played half a good season. Russell Wilson played an awful season all season. If you want to bump up the stopgap just to do it, just for respect, I won't fight you. But I watched an entire season of just awful football from that man.
Okay. I'm looking
I got hot
here.
takes.
You do. And you're not necessarily wrong. I do want to just so his entire season or his entire career, except for one kind of weird season in 2017, and this is including his rookie year, he had a 64 to 65% ish completion percentage. Last year, it dropped to 60. Okay. He still threw for
worse than that.
He threw for 3,500 yards still, which is, it's whatever. He's thrown for much further, but he's also thrown for around 35 before. But this is where it really stands out. So his entire career, and I'm not going to read all of them, but, he started his rookie year, he had 26 touchdown passes. He had 34 in 2015. He had 34 in 17, 35. He had 40 touchdown passes in 2020. He had 16 last year. And then he had 11 interceptions. For a QBR, are you ready for this? QBR, okay, so of 36.7. So, yeah, it's bad. Really bad.
Real bad. Real bad.
Based on, man, I think he deserves the respect. I don't think he's see here. Like if we had this, we kind of mentioned Gardner Minshew as a stopgap because he is probably not going to be the starter all year. The Broncos are in a situation that Russell Wilson has to be the starter. He has to be. If Russell Wilson doesn't work out, everybody gets fired. So I guess my question to you then is if you're the GM of a team and Russell Wilson and Gardner Minshew are in your office and you have to pick one, who are you going to pick?
Well, that is the question, right? Because I'll counter that back at you. Gardner Minshew on that Broncos team, does he throw more than 16 touchdowns? We all thought the Broncos were going to be scary, dude.
Oh, I know. I probably does. I don't want to put him in bad. I don't think he's
probably
bad.
Does.
I think last year was a. I'm terrible.
Don't. If you want to, I have.
Okay.
Put it out
How
there.
about? I think he. Man, I was going to say he's good enough for now. He isn't the same as Mac Jones.
God no.
Jimmy G and
Jimmy G would have outdueled him every single time.
I know. Last year, absolutely, yeah. That's where I was going to put him, just because stopgap I think of as a guy who's not going to start the whole year. But Russell Wilson's starting situation is really situational because of his contract. They have to start. He has to start. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think stopgap. I think here.
Okay.
That's where I'd put him. But I just want to clarify that Kevin Brown, you think he belongs in bad, correct?
I don't care about history. I care about what you're doing right now. Aaron Rodgers should be in a league if we cared about history.
The NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. Maybe more so than any other professional sports league. So I get it.
Right.
All right. Moving on, Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he'll be the starting quarterback at the end of the season. I don't. I'm actually kind of surprised he's still on the team. I think he's a stopgap quarterback right now. Do you agree?
He is. Absolutely is. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to say. He's not. Yeah. He's not what anybody wants. Not like completely awful. Not like Russell Wilson level awful, but
right. Not Russell Wilson level awful, but he's not as good as the guys above him. He's not as good as Kenny Pickett. He's not as good as Mac Jones or Jimmy G. Right.
Right.
Okay. So that brings us to Jaguars quarterback. Oh, come on, move. That brings us to whatever. Brings us to Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. I like Justin Herbert. I think Trevor Lawrence is very, very good, and he's just going to get better. I could see him pushing for an MVP this year. I don't think he's been in long enough or had the success long enough, especially in the postseason, to say he's elite. In fact, I'm going to say this. No. These guys up here, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes, that's it. Those are the only elite quarterbacks in the AFC. And they might be, next week, they might be the only elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Maybe. No. I take that back. But we'll get to that next week. Either way.
Probably one more.
Yeah. One more. Yeah. So Justin Lawrence, I think, or not Justin Lawrence, I'm sorry. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is a franchise quarterback.
Now. I agree. Kind of the exact same thing, Kenny Pickett, but better and more elite.
Yeah.
Especially that second half. He really showed why he was the draft pick he was. I don't know if I expect him to get to elite. I think he's got the toolbox to get there. It just depends. But as of right now, you're very, very, very happy to have this man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. So another one here that's kind of interesting is Tua Tagovailoa. I think I pronounced that right this time.
I think you did. Close enough.
Again, at the beginning of 2020, we knew that Andy Dalton, they had the buyout at the end of his career, that there was going to be no more dead money. I'm sorry, this is at the end of 2019, not 2020. At the end of 2019, we knew that was going to be the last season of Andy Dalton. The writing was on the wall, especially when he got benched. You know what I mean? That's it. It's over. So everyone was saying tank for Tua. Yes. And then Joe Burrow, who
came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no one really said anything about him. And everything was all about, it was, a little bit about Justin Herbert, a lot about Tua. And that Alabama was going to clean up and Tua was going to be the number 1 draft pick. And then Joe Burrow put together the greatest college football season for a quarterback in the history of college football. And the history of college football is much, much deeper than the history of professional football.
Yes, it is.
And obviously it became bungle for Burrow near the end when it was clear that Joe Burrow was the guy. And it's been perfect ever since. Tua has had some ups and downs in the NFL. We've seen what he can do. He can be great. He can be really, really great. His health is a major concern. I don't know how many concussions he's had, but I know last season he had at least 2, including one for the Bengals that was really scary. When I think it was a B.J. Hill sack. I want to say B.J. Hill, but I'm not 100% sure. And it wasn't even really...
I'm almost positive it was, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even a bad. He just kind of rolled over on his hip, but the back of Tua's head slammed in the ground, and he had his fingers locked, and it was scary. Last year was scary a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think Tua's better than the middle tier. I think he's a franchise quarterback.
I agree. I'm going to play devil's advocate with you.
Okay.
His deep ball and his arm strength is such a question. That I do think it needs to be brought up if you're talking about where to tier him. Everything that people thought about Burrow ended up being entirely true about Tua and not true about Burrow. I get that his deep ball accuracy and completion percentage really, really went up this year. How much of that do you think is having the absolute fastest offense in the NFL, which let him get that ball deep very quickly, very quickly? Is his arm enough that you at least are considering downgrading him? Plus his arm, plus his health.
No.
Are we certain he's going to play even another year? If he gets another concussion, who knows, man? People, I'm not making light of this. I actually feel really, really bad for the guy. Like you said, there's a period of time I wanted him to be our franchise quarterback. So I'll always kind of be rooting for him, just low key in the back of my head, always kind of rooting for Tua. There was a period where he was displaying, I guess, concussion symptoms for a month straight. For maybe even longer than that, I think. It was kind of a scary bit of time. And even he was in an interview, I can't remember where this was with, he talked about considering retirement already.
Yeah.
Just based on his healthcare issues. Do those two things drive it down enough for you? Where are you at?
It doesn't for me, just because of what he is capable of. And, I think he goes into the year with a clean slate. And if he doesn't get a concussion this year, then it's maybe nothing to worry about until he's in his 50s and pees his pants in line at the bank. Maybe I don't know. I don't know, but right now, he seems healthy. So it doesn't, to me, if he had gotten hurt maybe at the end of the year, I think good enough for now. But I put him still at franchise quarterback.
Okay, all right, and I'm comfortable with that. I am. I just felt like there's very real questions that need to be Aaron Rodgers. We know who he is. The only reason he's franchise quarterback is because of his age. Herbert, we know he's at least a franchise quarterback. He's great. Lamar's proven who he is. Lawrence is only on the rise. Tua has questions, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight you on the franchise quarterback because I'm kind of on the fence about it myself. I do just think there's legit questions.
I'll tell you what. I just real fast. Because we're up against it. I don't want to take too much time. But if I'm ranking these franchise quarterbacks, I'm probably putting Herbert and Lawrence first, and then Rodgers, and then Jackson, and then Tua. But the only reason Tua's in the back is because of health. That's it. He doesn't have as great of an arm. But I think he's more accurate. I think he's more accurate than Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have the legs.
He doesn't have the legs.
Right. But we'll see. I want to see more from him, basically. know?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then that brings us to Deshaun Watson, the human cat turd from Cleveland.
Yep.
So he's not elite. I don't even think he's a
Nope.
franchise. I honestly, man, I think he's good enough for now. I think this is where he belongs right here. I'm not going to say he's a stopgap. They're paying him $1 trillion for some reason.
Now, are we counting how much you're getting paid? Is that part of this?
Or no. I'm just saying he's not a stopgap because it's not. I don't know why I brought that up.
Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't. Yeah, whatever.
Because unfortunately for the Browns, he's a franchise quarterback.
Oh no, he is. Yes, he's not a stopgap. He came back, halfway through the season, and he looked like a quarterback who hasn't played in a year and a half. He struggled a little bit. He had some good stuff, but he had some bad stuff. Until he proves otherwise, he's going to be good enough for now. And nothing would make me happier than lowering this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nothing would. So,
do you expect him to improve? Because honestly, I don't expect him to improve.
I think that he's obviously very talented. I think some of the whole Deshaun Watson going into God mode stuff in Houston was kind of exaggerated, or it was garbage time, or it did not translate. Yeah, and it didn't translate to wins on the field. And more than anything else, I think quarterbacks, while they're going to be judged by what they do with their arm, they're also going to be judged by what the outcome of the game was. You know what I mean? And in their career, how many times have you talked to anyone about Dan Marino in the Hall of Fame and stuff, and then someone just happens to mention he's got no Super Bowls, didn't win any Super Bowls? Because every single time I talk to anyone about Dan Marino, it almost comes up.
Yeah,
I don't talk about Dan Marino all the time, but you know what I mean. It always got like
I'm talking about Dan Marino almost every day.
Oh well, then you're obviously the guy to talk to about this.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't have any Super Bowls.
I know you're right. He doesn't. Yeah, he does not have any Super Bowls. But he's going to get judged for winning too, and he hasn't won. He hasn't won. So yeah, he's good enough for now, in my opinion. And I would not be shocked if that's where he is heading in the next year, if not lower. But because of this contract,
he's barely in good enough for now.
Yeah,
but he played really bad last season.
Yeah, I do. And you know what? Like, I expect Russell Wilson to come out of whatever happened last year. I do. I think he'll be better this year. I'm not saying he's going to be like he was when they won the Super Bowl, but I think he's not going to be like that. I could see Russell Wilson being better than anyone in the good enough category this year because he has it in him. We know what he can do. But I think that of all these guys in the bottom, I could see a scenario where Deshaun Watson is the worst. He's worse than Jimmy G. He's worse than Mac Jones. He's worse than Pickett. Maybe not worse than Minshew, but maybe. But he's worse than Wilson, and he's worse than Tannehill. I could see Deshaun Watson outside of the rookies being the worst quarterback in the AFC. I could see that. Sure. And what I cannot imagine is Deshaun Watson cracking the top 5.
No,
I just don't.
No.
I just don't, because you'd have to be better than Lawrence. You'd have to be better than Herbert, Burrow, Allen, or Mahomes. One of those 5.
Yeah.
And you're not going to. So that's where I think he's a terrible, awful person, and I don't even like talking about him. But I mean, this is just based on football. This isn't based on my disdain for that human.
We don't have a single bad quarterback. Are we cowards?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Truth is, there really aren't that many bad quarterbacks.
Right.
You know what I mean? We'll have to even look at the NFC. Like,
yeah,
people need good quarterbacks really badly, but like, you only really need 32 who can play. Like,
right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have a single bad quarterback.
Well, think about it. There's only 32.
And
we're not even ranking all 32 because we're not doing anything with rookies.
That's true.
So we're talking only about possibly 30 or maybe even 29 guys at any position. Any position that we do that, who are the 32 best tackles, they're all going to be pretty good tackles. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when you compare them to each other, that's where, because I'm not going to put, compared to Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson is bad. You know what I mean? But if you
and
just
also
like
just compared to other quarterbacks, he was really bad.
Exactly.
He was really bad. He should have been in the bad category.
Well, whatever, man. But you might be right. You might be right. I'm saying right now I think he's better than he was at the end of the year, and we haven't even seen him play yet.
If that was his rookie year, does he ever play another snap in the NFL?
Yeah, but there's like fans and coaches that are like, I don't know about this guy. No. We'll say this.
That's an exaggeration. I'll give you that.
We'll say this. I'll say this. It depends on where he was drafted.
Sure,
that's where it depends. If he's
you drafted
in
the top 5, man, you get
3
have years
to
no matter what.
Yeah, but if you're drafted in the 5th round and you're starting because of circumstance, because of injuries, probably not. You're probably done after that. You'll stay on as a very valued backup, or go to someone else as a valued backup. But yeah, if that's your rookie year, you're probably toast. That might be the most convincing thing you've said all night about this situation. So, all right. So yeah, I mean, everyone knows where it is. It's Burrow, Allen, and Herbert. I'm sorry, Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes. That's the line. They're on top of the pyramid, and depending on who wins the Super Bowl this year, if it's one of those 3, then that's it. That's the best quarterback. I mean, they're on top of it, and they might be. I think they're the best 3 quarterbacks in the NFL too. I mean, I do think there's going to be one more that joins them from the NFC, but if you had to separate the 4 of them, he's at the bottom. Other than
Desmond Ritter, elite quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted him to be. We'll get to it.
I
did too.
I love that. You see, I'm hoping that he's going to be good. I look at the team. The team hasn't been great. They didn't have anyone. They have Kyle Pitts, but Kyle Pitts wasn't working with the quarterback before either. So I don't know what's going on with that. But I do think Desmond Ritter, of the quarterbacks that were drafted last year, and this includes Kenny Pickett, I think Desmond Ritter could have a better career than Pickett.
I hope so. I was rooting for the guy.
Yeah, Pickett's advantage right now is he's got one of the best head coaches in the NFL, Mike Tomlin.
Sure.
He's got a great thing going on. Tomlin. All right. So that's next week. So anything else?
That's it. I got nothing else to say.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Again, we're on Orange and Black Insider on YouTube. There's subscribe. There's a bunch of great shows. There's live question and answer. There's a lot of great stuff. So check, follow that. We're on podcast, wherever you stream your podcasts. We're going to be on that. We're brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation Cincinnati Bengals site, and sponsored by Eastgate Smiles Dental Care. Probably need to do that real quick. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Eastgate Smiles Dental Care is a warm and welcoming environment where expertise and customer service come together. As a local business, they love helping their fellow Cincinnatians manage their oral health and achieve a perfect smile. They pair the latest technology with years of experience to give you a smile worth showing off. They are dedicated to quality and convenience and can even perform dental crown procedures the same day in most cases. You like your smile, but they are here to help you love it. They personalize your care and match your needs. Call them today at 513-528-1150 to learn what they can do for your pearly whites.
Yes, brought to you by them. Call them today. See what they can do for your pearly whites. And thank you for watching. Thank you for engaging with us on with comments on Twitter, wherever. Thank you for coming back. For those of you who have come back for multiple shows, and I enjoy doing that. I know Kevin enjoys doing this, and so thanks for watching. Yeah, see you next week tomorrow. Who day?